Hello and welcome. I presume that you're watching this video because you've just recently, maybe just now, got your New York bar exam results back and you didn't pass the exam. And while I may not know you personally, I'm sorry and I feel badly for you and I empathize and I understand what an awful feeling that is. If it's your first time taking the exam and you didn't pass, probably the first time you've failed a big test in your life. If you've taken the exam previously and not passed and now have another failure, it tends to feel even more overwhelming. And I know it's a bad feeling and a very difficult time. So I do get it. I also know something by virtue of the fact that you're watching this video, and that is that you're not giving up. You're not quitting, you're not burying your head in the sand, you're being proactive, and that's really important, and it's really a good thing, and it's why we're here, and why I encourage you to stay with me for the next 5 minutes or so, and we'll talk a little bit about what you do next. Let me introduce myself. My name is Jackson Mumey. I'm the owner of Celebration Bar Review. I've been teaching New York bar exam in some form for well over 20 years now. And I've seen a lot of things in this exam. I've seen a lot of changes over the years. I've seen a lot of things that are happening now currently in the exam. And I'm here to tell you that it is a tough exam, one of the toughest in the country, obviously, but it is manageable and it is something that you can do well on. Over the years that I've been teaching the New York exam, taken out over really about a 15-year period since I've owned Celebration Bar Review, we've had a pass rate that has been in excess of 85% on the exam. We take relatively few students, usually fewer than 25 per New York exam. So we work with relatively small numbers of people, but we give it and them pretty intense assistance and direction. And as a result of that, we get a much higher pass rate, even though really a strong number, a large number of the people I work with are repeat bar takers, people that have come to us after having failed the bar, taking the exam with someone else. Well, what are the sort of the next steps that you should be thinking about? The first of them is that it's really helpful to have an objective set of eyes and opinion about what's happened and what to do next. And we're glad to provide one set of eyes for you through a free, no obligation consultation. You'll see the links on the page that this web video appears. And you're welcome to call and schedule an appointment and talk to me. I'll be the person that you'll actually be talking with. And I can help you interpret your scores and what they mean. The New York, even the New York exam scoring sheet is a little bit obscure, and sometimes you may not even understand quite what they're telling you. So I want to make sure that you understand the difference between the percentages and the actual scores, as an example. So I'm glad to do that with you. I think having an objective person look at the scores and talk to you about what to do is particularly important because the emotion of the moment can be so overwhelming. And so I invite you to reach out and contact me. Beyond having someone to consult with, probably one of the most, if not the most important thing to do is literally to get back up on the bar exam horse and to start studying again. I strongly encourage you to sit for the July exam for a couple of reasons. One is that the bar exam changes pretty dramatically in 2015. There's the addition of a new multi-state subject, civil procedure. There's the removal of some subjects on the New York side. There's a series of changes that are being considered, and those changes may or may not be good, but they're changes, and changes mean uncertainty, and uncertainty causes its own set of difficulties. So I think it's good. Now, one of the interesting things is that we never know exactly when New York's going to release their results, but in this particular year, coming out of the February exams in 2014, they're doing an early release. That is to your advantage. That means that you now have enough time to begin your studies right away and get ready for the July exam. That hasn't always been the case in New York, so I think that's a good thing. In our course, we're going to tell you that you need about 20 hours a week of study if you begin promptly, and that's manageable for most people. If you have more time than that, that's great, but it's not something that you have to necessarily do. What about courses? Some of you may have taken a large, what I call a big box bar review. And by and large, I would tell you that if you took one of those courses and you did not pass, that it's probably not a great idea to resit for the exam using that course. It's not really, a retake student is not their happy spot. It's not their sweet spot. It's not what they do. And I think you're going to find yourself really struggling in a retake situation. So if that was your situation, I'd look around. If you were working with something other than a big box company and you failed the exam, then I think you want to really consider what that approach was that you were using. There are a few providers in New York, we're one of them. There are a whole bunch of people out there that borrow somebody else's materials and call themselves an expert, and they're going to tutor you. I get resumes from a lot of them on a regular basis telling me that they're hopeful that they could find a job while they're in the bar review while they're waiting to do real work. I don't think that's such a great idea. I think you want to consider what the style of teaching is and the approach. In general, I think that for this exam, what works most effectively is not memorization and not recitation. It's the ability to cast arguments when you're doing the essay writing, and then to use the law to support those arguments. That's the writing style that we teach. We focus a great deal on writing because, as you know, the essays and the performance test in New York are a huge part of your exam score. So if you're not getting a lot of writing assistance or didn't get it in the past, I think you want to really be very cautious and thoughtful about whether or not you're going to get that going forward. Sometimes people will fixate on the New York multiple choice or on the MPT and say, oh, that's the reason I didn't pass. And statistically, that's just not the case. They can be annoying, the scores can feel lower to you, but they're not the primary emphasis. But still, you want to make sure that your course covers them, as we do, and shows you how to write the MPTs and how to work through the New York multiple choice. On the multi-state exam, I think it becomes a matter of doing less memorization, less mnemonics, less attack outlines, and having a better understanding of the principles that guide these questions, learning how to identify what are wrong answers, eliminating answers, and then working through enough practice questions. We have about 1,800 license questions from the National Conference of Bar Examiners, so there's plenty of practice there. Moreover, I think you want a structured, organized study approach, particularly when you're coming off of a retake where emotionally it's really tough. I think there needs to be accountability and the opportunity to work with someone who's going to keep your feet to the fire, encourage you when you need to be encouraged, but also push you when maybe you want to back away. And that's one of the things that we do. There are a few others that do that, but I'd be careful about choosing a course if it doesn't provide you with that kind of structure and information. That's the basics right now. You want to get a consultation, you want to get started with your studies, you want to choose the right course. What if you've been studying on your own? This is a common situation, particularly where it's expensive to take a bar review. I think that's a disaster. This exam is not amenable to studying on your own. You've just proven that if that's what you did. By that token, it's inefficient because you don't know what to study and you don't know how to study it. Some people think they can simply look at answers produced by examiners and reverse engineer it. Doesn't work very well. And the exam is written in such a way as to prohibit that, to make it really very difficult. So I really would encourage you to avoid that at all costs because of what it costs if you fail the exam. I think it's an investment you need to make. You'll be surprised actually at how affordable a course like ours can be. So I invite you to check that out. Listen, I know it's tough. And I know that you're feeling a little discouraged, maybe a lot discouraged today. If you're a foreign trained attorney, you're probably feeling even more discouraged because it's such a hard exam and you may have language barriers and you certainly have some cultural and educational challenges. We've worked with foreign trained attorneys since we started the company. We have great success with them and we're glad to talk with you and show you how that process can happen, what we can do specifically for you as a foreign attorney. So don't let that stop you or keep you away from going after this exam. I do hope that the results for you next time are much better, and I look forward to having the opportunity to perhaps be part of the reason that you'll be able to celebrate when the next exam results come out. Thanks very much for watching, and we look forward to hearing from you.